Well, this is just a small part of our youth campers, but we are here today to share some of the things that we learned about being one of a kind. So here's the whole team. And before we get started, I want to just thank a few people, because we wouldn't have these cool shirts except we want to thank you guys, Gary and Lori, for our cool shirts. Donna took off a couple days from work to be our cook, and she fed us amazingly well. And so she used her gifts and talents in that way. We want to thank Stan and Jackie for coming, and he was our kayak transporter. He also got my mobile RV home from the campground, so that's home. So we thank you. We thank all the Barbara is back with some of our little ones, but she came and helped out yesterday. Olga was such a blessing to be one of our small group leaders and just be another set of eyes and guide her while we were there, mentor. And then we thank all the parents who let us, and grandparents who let us enjoy such a wonderful few days with their children. And another big thank you to all of you that financially supported us and prayed for us and just helped make this happen, because without you, it wouldn't have been able to happen. So, we are ready. Okay, Jeremiah, you can go.
The first day we went hiking, I tell you, if you didn't put 7 layers of bug spray on, the mosquitoes would take you up and carry you away. Pretty sure we lost a camper on that trip. But it was nice and fun. We went on this suspension bridge that was above the Hillsborough River. And one of the times I actually saw this guy hop on the trees. You can see on the picture, he hopped on the tree and climbed that tree all the way up to the top.
Not our camper.
None of ours. So the second, that was fun, walking all down the trails. We did this scavenger hunt. We were all running around. Nobody found a stop sign, ironically. Nobody could find the stop sign. One of the weird ones is that 3 people, I remember this, 3 people had to walk up and kiss a wall for one of the requirements. So we did that and we all took a picture. But one of my favorite activities was the tie-dyeing the shirts. You got it all over you though, and that didn't come off for like 3 days. But yeah, when we were tie-dyeing the shirts, you squirted them with dye and you sprayed them down with the water bottle. And it looked really cool. It had like this drip effect. On the second day we went kayaking. We saw like 7 gators. One of the times I was like right next to one and it submerged and I just paddled as fast as I could. I wasn't dealing with no alligator biting out my finger. We ended up getting to this part where it's like right before the rapids. There was all these rocks really close to the surface and almost everybody got stuck because of all the rocks. The second time we went kayaking, only me and Keegan made it by. We had to turn around. And that's when we were kayaking, that's when I saw the guy jump up on the tree and climb to the top. We saw a lot of gators. We saw this big one, this like big 6-foot alligator sitting on a log. And the third day we also went kayaking again. That was fun. That's the time that we couldn't go any farther because nobody made it past the rocks. But one of my favorite games probably was the, what's that called? It was this game where you had to take a golf ball and a spoon. You had to run around the camp trying to make sure you didn't fall off the spoon. And everybody did it, but it was really annoying because the second one you had to catch the golf ball in a cup and throw it onto the spoon and catch the golf ball on the spoon. We eventually had to switch to the big spoons because nobody could do it. And then we played this game. It was kind of like hot potato, where we passed like golf balls and rubber balls and footballs around. And whenever they said the ball, whichever ball, they'd say freeze, and you'd throw the ball in the basket, and if you missed, you were out. We ended up stopping that game with 4 people because it just kept going on forever. But food, lots of food, very, very lots of food. My favorite was probably the chicken and the s'mores. But if you ever ate those cheese paws that you see on those plates, they're addicting. You can't stop eating them.
Thank you, Jackie, for the cheese paws. They were a hit.
We had like 3 jars of them. There's me sitting in my chair. And that's Elena and Aubrey. And that's Emma. We had these really delicious peanut butter and apple teeth. She's holding those. But for some reason, Keegan didn't want to try one. They were good though.
I'm not sure who had more fun, Donna making them or the kids eating them.
Yeah, but the last thing I want to mention is Keegan got a ladder ball stuck in a tree and spent 4 hours of his life trying to get it out. And eventually he realized all he had to do was shake the branch that it was on. He climbed up a tree and spent 4 hours of his life in a tree trying to get a ladder ball. And then, you know what happened a couple hours later? Krista got one stuck in the tree.
But Joey came to our rescue, so we thank him for getting it down.
Yeah.
I think we learned that half the campsites, people were mad though. So some guy came to us complaining. Some guy had an RV across the lane for a long time, and we're like, sorry.
Yeah, she got stuck in this really long, tall, skinny tree, and we had to get a camper under there. One of the times when we were going kayaking for the first time, there was a part where it said service vehicles only, where you had to launch, but there was this another launch, but we decided just to go to this one. And the lady said, oh, it's okay, we see 10 to 15 people come down here to get the kayaks. Surely enough, when Papa pulled out, there's a park ranger waiting for him.
Got busted.
And the campfires were fun. One of the times I sat too close and she added a little bit of lighter fluid and I got burnt to a crisp. All the hair on my body was gone. Also, if you were outside at night and you didn't put bug spray on, you'd come inside and be all puffed up. It was horrible. You couldn't go 5 minutes without bug spray.
So that was lots of the fun. Now, in between all this fun, we had 4 different sessions. So we want to teach you what we learned.
So the first session we learned was that God has like opinion of all of us, and that his opinion is the one that matters the most. And to him, he thinks we're all unique, one of a kind, different. Most people think that different, when they say it, it means something bad, but different actually it's another way of saying that we're all like masterpieces of his. And then he also thinks that we're awesome in all different ways. Some people pretend like they pretend like they care, that they think everything is fine with them and just everything's so cool, but they're being fake, and God really hates when we're being fake with each other, or we pretend to care when we really don't care. So we learned that we need to be real with God, and like we have like blue check marks by all of us, so we need to be real with him and actually care about others and show the love with everyone.
So as an old person, I learned that on social media, if you have a fake account, so let's say I'm famous, there's a whole bunch of Michelle Detweiler accounts out there, but most of them are gonna be fake. But if it's my real account, I'm gonna have that symbol. So all of you old people, now you know, including me, that symbol means that you are verified and you are the real deal.
See how very much our Father loves us, for he calls us his children. And that is what we are. But the people who belong to this world don't recognize that we are God's children because they don't know him. 1 John 3:1.
Okay. God actually knows who we are, and he knows the real us, so even when we try to be fake with him and try and cover up certain things, it's no point in doing it because he knows the real us. It's a waste of time. He knows everything about us, and we can't hide any of it. He knows each of us individually and like perfectly.
Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5.
God made each And every single one of us, one of a kind. He made me one of a kind. He made all of us up here one of a kind. And he made every single one of you one of a kind. He made us in his own special image to be just exactly how he wanted, and gave us each certain gifts that no one else can have. It's only for us to use to serve him and be with him.
But the people who belong in this world don't recognize that we are God's children because they don't know him. 1 John 3:1.
What God says about you is the most important thing about you. God also says that he loves you. You're one of a kind to him. He made you as a masterpiece. But sometimes the lies that we sometimes believe that others may tell us, or we tell ourselves just to put ourselves down, are that we're worthless, God doesn't love me, and I'll never amount to anything. None of those things are true at all, because God's truths are about us, that he loves us, so we are loved, that we belong to him no matter what, and that God made us be one of a kind. Just, we're one of a kind, and we're so special to him because no one else is exactly like us. God loves me and likes me, because love is two different things. Like someone, like our parents can be mad at us, they still love us, but right now they sure don't like us at that one moment because we did something that made them really mad. But they still love us, no matter what. God likes and loves us at the same time, always. And God has a plan for all of us. Everyone has special stuff that they can use to do his plan for their life. He has a purpose for all of us. And that plan might not always be what we expect it to be or what we think it be, and it can be multiple different things. It doesn't have to be set to one specific thing. He can just have us do a bunch of different things. We can start off doing one thing, and then he wants us to do this thing. We just go all over the place, but he has a perfect plan for us to fulfill his purpose that he put us here for. So again, we must remember what God says about you is the most important thing about you. That's the end of session 1.
Emma's going to tell us about session 2. And that was Alyssa that just talked about session 1.
So in session 2, we learned that we are more valuable than like anything rare, like this Darth Vader helmet, and it's worth $450,000 because it's like so rare, but we're like more rare than that, and we're like our special person because we're his masterpiece and that we're one of a kind.
I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. Psalms 139:14.
In other words, I'm valuable. We're all valuable in our own way because we're all special because God made us each different. We learned how hard it is to come up with 5 things we like about ourselves. All of us in the camp tried, and it was really difficult. Can y'all think of 5 things that you like about yourself?
You know, seriously, it really is hard because we're not conditioned that way. And we struggled on session 2, but I think by session 4, we could all do it, don't you? Yeah. So we challenge you, when you go home, to get a slip of paper or text it to yourself and really come up with 5 things you like about yourself.
Most of us say things to ourselves that we would never say to anyone else because we think we're not special and we don't believe that God made us special. And so people will say to themselves like, you're awkward, you're stupid, you're worthless, and you're ugly. No one likes you, and I hate you. I wish you were smarter, prettier, funnier, or just normal because we think we're all weird because we may act different or look different from everyone else. But God made you a certain way because he has a plan for you, and he wants you to be one of a kind and different.
Those who are kind benefit themselves, but the cruel bring ruin to themselves. Proverbs 11:17.
When you get in the habit of being cruel to yourself, it can bring ruin upon you. Treat yourself like one of a kind because you are. God made you his very own masterpiece, and that you're special in like your own special ways, and eventually you will see that.
Set your mind on things above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3:2.
Instead of being consumed with your focus on the one who made you, if you don't feel great, remember that he is great. If you don't feel strong, smart, or capable, remember that he is. When you feel like your life is worthless, remember that he sent Jesus because you're so valuable to him.
Preach it, girl, preach it. All right, and then Amaris is going to come share about session 3.
Okay, so while we don't want to be called fake, it doesn't mean that we have an easy time being real at the same time. It can be easy to put a face on, especially when we go to church or in front of people that we want to impress. Ever since the Garden of Eden, people have been hiding from God. Remember in Genesis when he was like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And he was hiding from God. He was like, "I'm naked." And that's what we do a lot of times, and we don't realize it, especially when we fall into sin. And especially when we fall into sin and we're ashamed. And that's a normal thing, but we can't stay that way.
There it is, the culprit. Okay, good job. You got a buzz, we don't know why. Oh well, just have to listen to the buzz. It's all good, okay. All right, there we go.
How long has this been How long has this been happening? Jesus asked the boy's father. He replied, since he was a little boy, the Spirit often throws him into the fire or into water, trying to kill him. Have mercy on us and help us if you can. What do you mean, I can? Jesus asked. Anything is possible if a person believes. The father instantly cried out, I do believe, but help me overcome my unbelief. Mark 9:24.
So we really learned that, I think we all felt that, like, you have to believe all the time. And if you have unbelief, it's like a bad thing. And we learned that this father was just being real with God, right? That it's totally okay to struggle with some of our unbelief, even though we believe. So that was huge.
And like Alyssa was saying, like before, it kind of reminds me, like it's okay, like, and that right there, our unbelief can make us want to run from him. And that's the worst thing we can do. That's what Satan wants us to do. And that's never going to lead to anything good at all. There are days when I feel like I trust Jesus a lot. There are days when I feel like my faith is weak. There are seasons when I feel close to God, and there are seasons when I feel distant. These are situations where my confidence in Jesus is strong. There are situations where I feel a lot less confident.
I think you can all relate.
But Jesus doesn't run from us when we're real with him. And I feel like that's important because, like we were all saying, he already knows. He knows what's on our heart, and he knows what we're thinking, how we're feeling, if we're sad, if we're depressed. So the best thing to do is to go to him and not to run from him.
But God showed us his great love for us by sending Christ to die for us while we were still sinners. Romans 5:8.
God loves the one-of-a-kind you. No matter if you're short, you're tall, or what your appearance is. It's funny because I don't know where it's at, but Jesus was a plain man. So for people to come up to him, it wasn't because he was handsome. It was because of his message and because of his heart. And that's how us Christians should be, that people should love the one-of-a-kind you inside. And that's what God intended.
In session 4, we learned about that everyone has a purpose. I felt like I had to do stuff for God in order to be cool with God. God loves us no matter what we do. He accepts us even when we're sinners. His grace isn't based on our behavior, and if it was, we wouldn't get it. Or at least not most of us. Most of us still have that voice in our head, that says, yeah, but you've still got to do good stuff, or he's going to be disappointed. And many of us, that's what we believe.
God saved you by his grace when you believed, and you can take care of credit of this. It is a gift. God's salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it. Ephesians 2:8-9.
God isn't saying you have to work for me to be good with me. It's that we work with him, not for him. It's about our participation, not that it's our obligation. God is not our boss. He is a heavenly Father.
This is where it may have been a little, they don't all have jobs, but we can all really think about it. How different it is when we have a boss that we work for. One of our boys who's not here, Dalton, is old enough and does have a job. And he shared how he often works in a restaurant, and he usually, oftentimes, is working in an area, and he may go days without ever seeing his boss. His boss is distant, but his boss is like the hover, the one that you have to do what he says. And it's that sort of feeling. And how different it is than when you work with someone and you work side by side and you share the burden and you share the joy and you share the work. And I think as adults, we know that difference. We know when we've worked for a boss that is just that dictating, demanding, higher authority kind of person. And how different it is when we work with someone for that same goal. And so that's what we want you to know, that we learn that working for God and working with God is very different. And God is not our boss. So someday they'll learn that, but right now they're lucky they don't have a boss yet, right?
God has a purpose for you that's one of a kind. He is inviting you to join him in a unique way. You can impact the world around you in ways no one else can. Join him there and bring the unique, one-of-a-kind you to help. He made you, he loves you, He invites you to walk with him as he does amazingly good stuff in the world around you.
One of a kind. So that message was not just for our third graders to seniors, but it is a message for every single one of us. And I know that as Olga and I led small groups and really got deep with our kids about these topics, we had tears in our eyes and we had pricks in our heart because we struggle with the exact same things as our kids. And we both said we wish we knew at this age to really trust God and believe what He says about us. And a lot of the hang-ups that we've had as adults that have carried us through our lifetime and may still haunt us as we look in the mirror or we are quiet with the voices in our head, that we wish that we would all trust God and trust His word, because the most important thing about us is what God says about us. And we truly are one of a kind. Thank you.
Okay. We all want to thank Michelle for putting all this together. She did an awesome job.